I took a week off. Not a long weekend, a real week, and I want to tell you exactly what broke, because it wasn't what I expected, and it taught me more about my business than any report ever could. Stay until the end, because what broke that week was completely different from what I thought would break, and the gap between those two things is exactly where most operators are losing time, money, and their sanity without realizing it. Before I left, I made a list in my head. The things I was sure would fall apart. The big client who only talks to me. The pricing decisions nobody else makes. The team meeting I always run. I braced for those. I told my team, call me if any of that comes up. I left my phone charged. I left guilty. And for 7 days, none of those things broke. The big client didn't call. No pricing decision came up. The meeting happened without me. I was wrong about everything I was afraid of. If you've ever braced for the wrong thing to break while you were away, subscribe right now, because what actually broke is the same thing breaking in your business right now. You just haven't noticed yet. Here's what it was. What broke were the small things, the things too small to brief anyone on. A vendor email that needed a quick answer, sat unanswered for 4 days, a scheduling conflict between two team members, nobody had the authority to resolve it, it waited. A minor client question that wasn't urgent enough to escalate but mattered enough to notice. It slipped through. None of it was a crisis. All of it was friction, and friction, multiplied by 7 days, felt like the business had quietly slowed down, not stopped, slowed, like an engine running on 3 cylinders instead of 4. Nobody panicked. Nobody called me. Things just waited. And when I came back, I spent 2 days clearing things that should have taken 2 hours if a system had existed to handle them. Here's what that week taught me. The big things in my business already had structure around them. The client relationship, the pricing, the major decisions. Even without realizing it, I had built enough infrastructure to protect what felt important. But the small things, the constant, minor, unremarkable decisions, had nothing. No owner, no protocol, no default answer. They depended entirely on me being available enough to notice them. And when it wasn't, they didn't break loudly, they just accumulated quietly until the accumulation became its own kind of damage. I came back and built 3 small systems: a response protocol for vendor questions, a simple rule for resolving scheduling conflicts, a clear definition of what counts as urgent enough to escalate. None of them took longer than a day to build. None of them were complicated. They just had never been worth my attention until a week away showed me they were costing me more than I ever noticed. Here's what I want you to take from this. You probably already know what would break catastrophically if you disappeared for a week, and you've probably already protected it. What you haven't protected are the small things, the friction that doesn't look like a crisis but adds up to one anyway. Take inventory, not of the big risks, of the small, constant, unremarkable decisions that currently have no home except your attention. Build a system for 3 of them. This week. The full framework is free at patricksystems.com. It's built exactly for finding what depends on you that shouldn't. patricksystems.com. And if this made you think about your own week away, or the one you haven't taken in years, subscribe. One honest story every week about what actually breaks and what actually fixes it. See you next week.